right, our next type of factoring is one of the most common types. It's factoring when our A value equals 1. Remember, when we factor, we need our quadratic equation in standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c. So when we say A equals 1, we're talking about this leading coefficient being 1. The steps that we need to take when we have our leading coefficient into 1 are down here. Our factors will always be in this template, x times something x. List all the factors that multiply to get our c term. So we have to be very quick with our multiplication facts. So we need to know what multiplies to get our c term. Okay. Choose a factor, so choose one of those factors of c that can be added to equal b. Okay. Once we have our factors, we'll fill in the correct sign. So again, what we choose must add to be the middle and multiply to be the last. So we were doing these quickly in our heads while in class, but let me break down what's going on in your brain. Okay. Remember, this is your A, your B, and your C term. So I need to know the factors of 18. I'm just going to write down what your brain is thinking of. Factors of 18 that add to be 9. Okay, that's our first task. So let's list the factors of 18 that should be going on in our brain. We know 1 times 18, 2 times 9, 3 times 6. So as you list these factors in your brain, okay, you're choosing one that could help me get to 9. Well, you should notice that 3 plus 6 is 9. So we're going to say, all right, n times n, and we want a 3 and a 6. If I want a positive 9 and a positive 18, both of these signs should be positive. And we found the factors. We found two things that multiply out to get my quadratic expression. So let's try the problem below that. We'll write our template. Our variable is p, so we'll need our letter p in there. We need the factors of 42. Because remember, this is A, B, and C. So in your head, okay, you don't have to write this down. It should be very quick in your head, writing down all of these factors. So we have 1 and 42, 2 and 21, 3 and 14, 5 can't, 4 can't, 6 and 7. So as you list these factors in your head, you should be thinking, nope, can't get to 1, nope, can't get to 1, nope, can't get to 1. Yes, this guy right here, 6 and 7, I can manipulate to get 1. Well, if I have a positive 7 and a negative 6, 7 minus 6 is 1, but a negative 6 times a negative 6 times a positive 7 gets me that negative 42 back. Okay. So let's look at a worksheet with some extra problems. Wherever you're taking notes, wherever you like to take notes, okay, or find this worksheet in your packet, let's look at two more examples. What multiplies to be 28? Okay, so 1 and 28, 2 and 14, 3 can't, but 4 and 7 can. Of those factors, which one can help me get to 3? 4 and 7. So I'm going to put an N and an N. I'm going to put a 4 and a 7. If I want a positive 3, I should have a positive 7, because 7 minus 4 is 3. Go ahead and try number 2 on your own. See if we come up with the same factors. All right, if you pause the video, then you should be ready to review this number 2. I've listed my factors of 10, and 5 and 2 can help me get to 7. So we'll have r times r, and I'm going to put a 5 and a 2, and they'll both be negative. A negative times a negative gets you a positive. So if you're comfortable with this method, why don't you continue to practice this particular way? If you practice and you'd like to know something different, please stay tuned to the rest of this video as I teach you a second method. If you're continuing to watch this video, we're still factoring with a equals 1, and we just learned what we like to call the guess and check method. Okay? Being able to list the factors and find those solutions. Well, there's another method that we'll use later, so I'd like to introduce it now. We're going to use the X method. So with the X method, we're going to draw a giant X, and we're going to put A times C on top and B on the bottom. Remember, this is your A, your B, and your C value. So 1 times a negative 16 is a negative 16. And we'll put negative 6 down here. On the sides of your X's, you're going to put the factors of 16 that could help you get to 6. So again, you still have to think of those factors. I know it's going to be 8 and 2. And it's going to need to be a negative 8 and a positive 2, because 2 minus 8 is a negative 6, and if I multiply, I get a negative 16. So I'll write this down, P, and negative 8, positive 2. This X method will prove to be more useful when A doesn't equal 1 anymore. But I at least want you to be familiar with the structure. So again, on this example on the bottom, go ahead and draw a very large X. At the top, you'll put what A times C is, and on the bottom, you put B. So this is going to be negative 11, a positive 24. 1 times 24. This will be a negative 11. So you're thinking of your factors of 24. What could multiply to be 24? 1 and 24, not going to work. 2 and 12, can't get me 11. 6 and 4, still not going to work. 3 and 8 are my last hopes, and they'll be negative. A negative and a negative gets me a negative. A negative times a negative gets me a positive. So I'll write this down, my template, and in one box will be the negative 3 and the negative 8. So either method works. Please choose your best method for yourself. And again, we will revisit this X method in future